on the award announcements is that you're allowed to incur costs at the date of the award letter, so you don't have to wait for the standard agreement execution to incur costs. Yeah. Back to you, Anthony. Oh, you're muted.
Thank you, Sam. And now I have to repeat that very important information. So thank you for the updates. If at this time, if you have any questions on the ESG updates, please put them in the Q&A box. And you may also continue to put your questions in the Q&A box throughout the presentation. Next slide, please. So that's the questions. If do we see any questions so far? Yeah, I don't see any.
Yeah, there's one
There's one in the
question,
chat.
Anthony. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Is ESG moving from eCivis to Zengen for the NOFA? So the NOFA and the application will be in Zengen, but they're connected to eCivis. So once we award your contract, it moves into eCivis, if that makes sense. But it will be the same as it has been for the last few years. It will be in Zengen.
The grantees only see the front end. So the Zengen is our back end system where we build the application, but grantees see everything in the eCivis portal. So it will be no different than prior years.
Okay.
In terms of what you as grantees see.
Thank you, Felicity.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you so much. And let's go to the next slide.
Oh, there's one more question that popped up.
Okay, go ahead.
Is there a link to register for the NOFA webinar? Not yet, but we hope to get that out to everybody soon. Okay, go ahead, Anthony.
Great. Thank you, Amanda. Good questions. Appreciate that. So we'll turn our attention to today's Spotlight series, the 2022 grant closeout process and the 2023 grant updates presented by Tuesday Cool. All yours, Tuesday.
All right, good morning. Our 2022 grant is ending soon. The process of closing these contracts has been a bit of a topic amongst us. We've discovered that once you guys have started your closeout report, we can't update and add new documents into eCivis, and we're using eCivis as our source of record for additional HUD monitoring, and we need to be able to add documents for monitoring purposes for several months after closeout. So what we are asking is that the certificate of completion is needed up front so that we can start the process of moving disencumbered funds to our 2024 NOFA. We're going to try to add any funds that weren't used in this grant year into the 2024 contracts. The certificate of completion can be found on our website under the resources tab. We're asking that the grantees upload their final financial reports, request for funds, along with the certificate of completion in eCivis by close of business Monday, December 2nd, 2024. Please enter as a regular financial report and not a closeout report. If your last RFF has already been submitted, please email the certificate of completion to your HTD representative and we'll upload it on the back end of the system. Next slide. When HTD has completed uploading necessary monitoring and disencumbrance documents, your HTD representative will contact you to initiate the final closeout reports in eCivis. Reach out to your grants manager if you have any other questions. Next slide. Please drop your questions into the Q&A box. Do we have any questions?
Yeah, we have a couple. So one that I already answered. For clarification, the county will not need to obtain HCD approval to incur costs once the award letter is issued. And that is correct. We don't send out, you don't have to obtain HCD approval anymore. As soon as you get the award letter, from the award letter date on, you can start incurring costs, no matter how long it takes us to actually get into contract with everybody. But you will not be able to submit an RFF until you have an executed contract.
Thank you, Amanda. That is something that we wanted to really highlight in this office hours, and we'll probably touch on it in the 2023 updates. But you can begin, as Amanda stated, you can incur cost as soon as the date of your 2023 award letter. You just can't submit an RFF until the contract is finalized.
And then there is another question. Can we bill the organizations for 4 months in advance of assistance if the assistance is for rental payments? I'm not quite understanding the question. Tuesday, are you?
I think I might. You can pay assistance in advance as long as the services are going to be given, but you can't pay in advance over the time where the contract is in. So our execution date or our expenditure date has already happened. You could have paid that month's, it happened on the 7th. You could have paid the November rents for if you wrote the check, but you can't pay December rents ahead of time because that would be into the contract after you could expend funds. During the program, you should be able to, if you need to prepay like 2 months in advance, and as long as the contract is open, you can pay rental assistance.
Thank you,
I hope
Tuesday.
that answers your question.
If that doesn't, just clarify your question in the Q&A box and we'll answer it. I think we can move forward, Anthony. That's it for now.
Okay, sounds great. Go ahead. And then back to you, Tuesday.
All right, thank you. Now the 2023 grant updates. The 2023 awards are being finalized, approved, and executed in eCivis. Keep an eye out for your grant if you haven't already been executed. Please do not make any changes to your 2023 goals or budgets in eCivis until the contract has been fully executed. Once the contract has been finalized, email your HCD representative if your goals and or budget need to be changed or updated in eCivis. We can help you with that process. Once your award is completed, you can go into eCivis and add users. Instructions for adding users can be found in your eCivis users manual. All 2023 financial reports and RFFs will be entered into eCivis. Next slide. Reminder, per HCD's Code of Federal Regulations, within 120 days after the date of the state issued award letters, the subrecipient must have obligated all funds by a subgrant agreement with either a letter of award or a procurement contract. This means that you are required to have an award letter or service contract in hand within 120 days of receiving the award of your award letter from HCD for your 2023 and your upcoming 2024 grants. Additionally, to comply with the new CFR 200 financial reporting requirements, HCD is updating our request for funds documents. The new form will be available on our website when remediation is complete. The new rules with our CFR 200 include having all steps of the financial reports signed off by whoever's authorizing them. So there needs to be a signature from subgrantee all the way up approving those expenses. And so we're going to have that available on our new RFF. Next slide. Our spending milestones. Per HUD's Code of Federal Regulations, you must have expended 20% of your award within 120 days after execution of your contract. 50% of your award within 180 days prior to expenditure deadline, and 80% 60 days prior to expenditure deadline. These milestones are part of your performance measures for future award funding and can be found in Exhibit E of your 2023 contract and in the Code of Federal Regulations. If expenditure expectations are not met, HCD reserves the right to mandate a corrective action or remediation plan to ensure future timely expenditure of ESG funds. HCD reserves the right to recapture funds that are not expended in a timely manner. In addition, each grantee is encouraged to submit a financial request for funds monthly, but you must draw down expended funds not less than once per quarter. We ask that if you have several RFFs ready to submit, you combine them into a single report and submit together. Submitting several RFFs on the same day or close together causes administrative issues and delays. Frequently, if you're submitting 3 or 4 RFS on the same day and there's a problem with them, you're going to have that same problem across all of those RFS, and that ends up causing delays on our part because we have to do a 209 invoice dispute for each one of those RFS, and you have to respond to each one of those invoice disputes separately, and it ends up just making our ability to monitor the progress of getting issues fixed really difficult and causes a lot of delays. All right, next slide. Do we have any questions?
Not seeing any in the chat or the Q&A box. So we'll give it a second. If any of you grantees have a question or on the 2022 closeout process or the 2023 contracts, go ahead and let us know. We'll give it about 1 more minute here to see if we get any more questions.
Anthony, it does look like Monica Flores has her hand up. I don't know if you're able to call on her.
Let's see, Monica, go ahead and take yourself off mute and ask your question. Oh, it was an accident. Okay. Thank you. All right. It doesn't look like we're going to have any questions today. Oh, wait, here we go. Is there a link available to the ESG guidelines webinar on 12/18? We don't have that link yet. I know that it is ready and that we will have it up soon. Gio, go ahead.
Tim answered in the chat that it generally gets sent out about 15 days prior to the webinar date.
Okay.
So it should come out early December.
Okay. I'm so sorry. I was looking at something else. Thank you for jumping in, Amanda. All right. If there are no other questions, we just want to bring your attention back to the screen. And we've got our ESG guidelines and resources here. We have links to the ESG webpage where we have all kinds of training and resources and forms for you in administering your ESG grant. We also have a link to the draft guidelines, which we covered in the last office hours, and we will be doing a webinar later this year on. And then we also have the ESG NOFA inbox email address. That's the team contact. If you can't reach your rep or if you're having trouble reaching ESG, just send it to that, which is monitored during business hours. Next slide, please. And you can always follow us on social media. You can like us on Facebook, on X, formerly known as Twitter, and also on LinkedIn. Next slide, please. And we're always going to have this here. We're growing, and we could always use great members on our team. So if you're ever interested in joining Team HCD, you can reach out to us, can ask us some questions, or you can go to the links on the slide here, jobs.cal.gov, and search for the California Department of Housing and Community Development. And I believe that wraps up today's office hours. We want to thank you all for attending, and we appreciate your questions. We'll see you at the next office hour session in 2 weeks on December 4th. Thanks so much, everyone. Bye-bye.